Hey, this is Noah. I'm gonna do this video as sort of a lump sum of my thoughts on this console generation, as this title will imply, but I will very likely do individual videos about many of the consoles in the future. If you want to, you can watch this one and ignore the rest of them. I encourage it, because I'm just trying to abuse the fact that I can talk for hours and hours on end about things, and Lord knows I might accidentally say too much in this video. That's how you know, like, I'm built for YouTube, because without a script, I can still talk for days. And with the beauty of editing, I can say anything, and you'll never know what I said. This console generation, what's the number? I think this is the 9th gen. This generation is kind of whack. If you were to go on Wikipedia and you look at the individual pages that describe each individual console generation, you will typically see it formatted like this, where you'll have one section that is dedicated to the main consoles, and then below you'll have like the handhelds, but then below each of those is the sort of subsidiary or secondary consoles, the ones that like came out but were either by a small company or were not intended to make a major success, or in general just sucked. As you go from the earlier generations to the later generations, the newer ones, you'll find that the major consoles start to diminish. And this is why this generation, this one that we're in, is kind of insane to me. Because whether or not you want to call them all major, the point is that they are big enough that I have been made aware of them, whereas in previous generations I had never even heard of a lot of them, even when I did start using the internet more and become more aware of things. Going through them, you have the major three that we've been stuck with since, like, the GameCube era. You have Nintendo with their Switch, likely making a Switch Pro, whether they want to say so or not right now, that is not my problem. You have Sony with the PlayStation 5, and then you have Xbox with the Series X and Series S. Besides those, we have a number of other ones. The Atari VCS, and then you have the Intellivision Amico, which I have some things to say about that. The Atari VCS is sort of a hybrid console PC. I would call it very similar to a Steam machine, where it has its own console OS, but you can load a PC OS onto it. It's a Linux-based platform, and it's mostly open, I believe. Most people would be able to go into buying it and using the Steam library, assuming the thing was powerful enough to run the games. The Intellivision Amico is a console that aims to take the casual market that the Nintendo Wii accidentally tapped into and do so with intent. People who would go into a Walmart and just pick it up, like, for their kids, like they think, it's like the sort of like grandma getting the plug and play SpongeBob console. It's supposed to be kind of like that, just, you know, higher end, I guess. I've been following it for a little bit, and I had put it in an order, so we'll see how that goes when that comes out. And then you have like weird instances like the KFConsole, and there was that one that I did a video on, the weird Bud Light one, although that was like a one-time thing. I don't think that one fully counts, but I feel like mentioning it. Point is, there's this weird trend that's starting to happen where, like, consoles are, like, coming out a whole bunch. I mean, there was even, what was that console? There was one that was, like, rumored to come out, or, like, somebody said they were making one. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I will definitely pop up an article and an image of the mock-up. It was interesting for 2 seconds, and I think as soon as it started getting press, people, the guys doing it, they were like, oh, this was a mistake. I think in a probably poorly translated interview, SNK said they were making consoles, and they even said they had prepped in advance to do a few. But what I take that as is they probably had a bunch of plug-and-play consoles prepared, of which we've seen come out. So I'm imagining that's all that was, but it would be interesting if they came back with a new Neo Geo. But when you stack them all next to each other, this becomes a much more interesting playing field. These secondary consoles, like the Atari, the Intellivision, and so on and so forth, they are not aiming to replace your main consoles. Even the Nintendo Switch has, whether intentional or not, become sort of a secondary console that most gamers would have in addition to either Sony or Xboxes. Like, basically, you have your allegiances there, then you buy the Switch because it's the Switch and you can play exclusives and go on the go. And then the other consoles aren't trying to take any market share from those people. Specifically, the Intellivision is trying to hit a market that the other ones are not necessarily. You can argue that the Switch already has the casual market, But I don't think soccer moms are going into Walmart and buying a Switch to play Monopoly on. You know what I mean? Not exactly the same. And plus, the Switch has nickel power on it, so I don't think we can make an argument about it being like completely like, oh, this is fine for my kids to buy. This is totally fine. Yeah, this is good. We're good. This is the part where I'm supposed to like just start shilling for the Intellivision Amico and let you know that I'm probably gonna do another video on this in the future. So, be ready for that, I guess. I'm looking forward to seeing if this is a trend that's going to continue, and if, like, Sega comes out with another console or something. That'd be insane. There was a time, I think Razer at one point said that they had a proposal to make a console and have Sega slap their name on it, and Sega said no. I feel like they had PTSD. They were like, no, never again, never again. Get me my water! Which consoles are you intending to get? Which ones do you have? Are you an Xbox player? PlayStation player? Nintendo? Or are you going to be one of the people that buys the Intellivision Amico and try to have debates on Reddit about if your console matches up to the competition in the same regard? This is Noah. This console generation is whack. See ya.